This hour brought to you by Northeast Electrical, where pros need pros at needco.com.
Now back to EEI Late Night with KJ on EEI.
Are you going to pick captains? Any updates on that?
No, that's probably in the rear view now. Like I mentioned earlier, it was a focus until guys were missing, with Al and Jalen going out. And then the focus became to figure out our lineups and rotations and all that. But as I mentioned, they all do in different ways. Jason's a guy that does it on the court every day. Here, maybe not as vocal as some other guys, but Al and Marcus do it in their own way. And Jalen brings some as well. So something I haven't thought about much as far as initially in the season due to the circumstances. But yeah, that's probably in the rear view, honestly.
Yeah, Justin, turn that up. What? That's probably the last time the Celtics were really, really good to you. Late night, WEEI, part of the WEEI radio network. It's the second hour. Thanks so much for hanging out. It's KJ. That's Coach Ime saying, hey, team captains, why at this point? I'll get to why not shortly. But give them their flowers as their due, despite there was only one Greek freak. Well, the Thanasis Antetokounmpo played 12 minutes tonight, but no Greek freak, no Chris Middleton. Celtics still pull it out 122-113. Yeah, even no Jaylen Brown. I mean, Dennis Schroeder, 38 points in 41 minutes. That, my friend, is efficiency. Jason Tatum, 27 points. Celtics get the victory. But how many of them, have really impressed you? How many of them? Just to be honest here. I'll get to the Ben Simmons thing in a moment. But first, I got to get to the team that currently exists. The Celtics are suffering from this term called othering. Now, you might have most recently heard of othering in the Boston mayoral campaign. Othering came out. Othering is, you're not from here. The Celtics have an othering problem. See, 8 of the Celtics on the roster currently were all drafted by the team. It's not how the NBA is constructed. So the Celtics need more others because it's getting very local. On contrast, the Washington Wizards, who are right now just burning down the Eastern Conference, and I don't see it slowing down, have only 3 players on their team that were drafted by that team. Bradley Beal, the rest, basically ain't from around here either. Could you name the other 2? Now, the Golden State Warriors have 7 players on their roster that were drafted by the team. But come on, are the Celtics and the Warriors really in the same paragraph at this point? Now, in fairness, nobody on the Celtics is game-changing like Steph Curry. Right? Let's just call it what it is. But if you said to me, okay, Golden State, put your best 2 currently on your roster out against the Celtics' best 2, my God, Tatum and Brown look so much better than Steph Curry and Allen Wiggins. Am I wrong? So the next question is what does the team offer? Look, Al Horford, valuable. You clearly see it. Valuable. But he's the most expensive house sitter in the league, and that's no fault of his. That's his contract. That's what happens when you catch guys at the end of these big mega deals where their age, unless you're like Tom Brady, is catching up with your skill set, and it's not necessarily matching the money. Look at it this way. Al Horford makes $1 million more than Jaylen Brown and $1 million less than Jason Tatum. Is that not crazy, Justin?
It is pretty crazy, and he's earned it, though. He's been one of their best players.
Well, John the Baptist was one of the good guys that gave, but eventually got his head cut off. Father Time comes and gets you.
Like you said, unless you're Tom Brady.
Yeah, unless you're Tom Brady. Tom Brady doesn't even get $28 million a year. Well, he may probably with incentives and crypto and, him and Guerrero, you know.
He's got Bitcoin too.
He's got Bitcoin. What does Tom have right now? Can Tom rebound at this point? Yeah, so Al Horford is getting $1 million more than DeRozan, $8 million more than Zach LaVine, $9 million more than Miles Turner. I know some people, we could add Miles Turner. And $18 million more than Montrezl Harrell. Hurry quick, Celtics. Put a picture of Montrezl on that board of future gets. Please. He's available next year. See, when you have Al or discounted Dennis Schroeder, we're transitioning Josh Richardson and a surprising Jabari Parker. Those are your four others for the most part. Unless we're throwing in Juan's 15 total minutes, Ennis's 10 total minutes, and Bruno's 6 total minutes. They're your 7 others. Ladies and gentlemen, unless you're the Golden State Warriors, you need others. So there's only one way to solve the Celtics' issues. Either get rid of the locals or get rid of the others. It's been some tough patches here for the team. Going into tonight, they were last in the Atlantic Division. It's like, well, it doesn't look so bad when you look at the Eastern Conference. Look at the division. They're last in the division. Here's Jason Tatum on, how they handled it during these kind of uncertain times.
I understand that I got a platform. I have been who I am, and, a lot of people look at what I say and what I do, and a lot of kids look up to me. And I think addressing not always just the 60 and 50-point games and those big moments that your favorite player struggles. They miss shots, they go in slumps, and understanding that, I'm going to figure it out. I don't doubt myself that it's a process, but it is frustrating that, you not necessarily worry about what people say about you, but the pressure I put on myself, the goals I want to attain, it doesn't have anything to do with how good people think I am or how bad they think I'm playing. It's always internal, and me trying to be as great as I want to be, that you go through tough times, but not to ever shy away from it.
I can feel for Jason Tatum. I have some empathy because when you're a young guy and you're the face of a historic franchise, again, when Oklahoma City had Durant, Westbrook, and Harden, it was kind of like, hey, we're kind of a new team. You kids are new, and they weren't going to stay, They weren't. But there's only one way to solve the Celtics' issues. Either get rid of the locals or get rid of the others. It's like the scene in Juice, the movie with Tupac and Omar Epps. If you haven't seen it, well, you've probably seen it. You just don't tell your friends. Be like, you watch that stuff? There's a scene where Omar Epps is excited that he's going to enter this contest that has all these stars in it. He's confident. He believes it. 2 of his friends are cool about it. And one friend says, yeah, but they're big time. You're just local. In 2016, 2017, the team that lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, the others were Jay Crowder, Al Horford, Isaiah Thomas, and Amir Johnson on the dirty work. Justin, I miss Amir. I miss Amir Johnson type, don't you?
Could you imagine that guy was in the starting lineup for that playoff team?
I mean, just the dirty work he got done. So you could see where the others were pretty important. Jay Crowder just won an NBA title last year. We're talking a younger Al Horford, where at that time, Al Horford was top 5 power forward, no question, in the league. Just talk about perseverance in the heart of the city. Those were the others. So in 2017-18, in the Eastern Conference Finals, losing again to the Cavs, the others were Gordon Hayward for 3 minutes, Al Horford, Kyrie Irving, Marcus Morris, and Aaron Baines. Man, that just see what those were the others. And you still had the locals that are like the main locals, right? Like if there's like the main guy at Faneuil Hall that sells you the best fruits and produce, he's probably been there for 40 years. The locals who were local were still here during this time. 2018, 2019, lose to the semis to Milwaukee. The others, Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, Kyrie Irving, Marcus Morris. 2019, 2020 in the bubble. The others, Gordon Hayward, Kemba Walker, and Enes Kanter actually gave you 8 points per game. Enes Kanter hasn't even played eight minutes, I think. I think it's 10 this season. And this is just 2 years ago. You see a pattern? As the others disappear, so does the love for the locals. That's good right there. Let me say that again. As the others disappear, so does the love for the locals. But the locals are still trying to put their head together, still trying to come together as a team. Robert Williams, who's really gone from like, oh, really, we drafted a guy who missed his flight for, I don't know, the first day of the rest of his life, to, hey, man, where will we be if there was no Robert Williams, Boston? But he's like, we're trying to put these things together on a personal level. Give me the Robert Williams cut.
How are you guys building those bonds?
More team dinners, more vets reaching out, setting things up, just talking. I try to communicate with guys the whole practice. I know y'all in there, y'all hear me joking around and stuff. But it's just, what I'm saying, calm the tension down. Let's show we're a brotherhood in here, we'll fight for each other.
That's what you have to do when you're the locals. You got to fight for each other. Because the others aren't coming. They haven't been coming. I get to Ben Simmons, who's been rumored to be the biggest other to come. Oh, boy. Ask yourself, if Tatum or Brown were traded, do you think they'd be sad to go? Now, keep in mind, all those seasons where I mentioned the others that were here, either Brown, Tatum, or both were part of the locals. Maybe they're just a couple of local guys who are burned out. It's the guy at the bar who's always there telling the same story over and over again. You almost think you can almost kind of like match up your day of the week to what story he's going to tell because it's the same damn story. Perhaps they feel this way. If you're Ben Simmons, and here we go, wouldn't you see the Celtics right now as the biggest grift you could get off in this current grift society we're in? Justin, you know what a grift is, right?
I don't.
Okay, a grift is pretty much someone who's kind of like pulling some angle or story all to kind of get the money, get the bag, get the attention, get the love. It's really become big in the social media world. Usually grifters get caught by setting up, GoFundMe pages or ignoring the other $140 million on their contract.
So in his case, he would come here and, he'd get the attention he wants, but if he stinks, then...
Oh, well, watch this. See, a franchise that others don't want to come to, you'd only be left with one local who at that point could be begging to get out of here. With the talk of Jaylen Brown going to Philadelphia, I'd probably say as a collective, whoever they pray to, meditate with, chant psalms with, they've got Jaylen Brown's name in their mouth. It would be like highway robbery. And if Ben Simmons came to Boston knowing that he's really being enabled, that would be as comforting to him as a support dog. I could see a Ben arriving, Logan's got a little tiny dog in one arm and, on his phone tagging his ex-girlfriend on and off, Kendall Jenner. Talk about emotional rescue, huh? You think they'll let Ben wear a red and black vest in practice if he came to the Celtics. Because let's face it, the Celtics should not even touch Ben Simmons with the 6'10" pole on top of a 10-foot pole. You will go back to the pre-Antoine Walker days with Ben Simmons here. You think Philly's tough? Wait until that first game in the Garden where you bypass a one-on-nobody layup or dunk to wait for a teammate to come behind the three-point line to shoot a three, and the team is down by one. Get out of here. It makes me mad thinking about the possibility of Ben Simmons coming here and really just kind of putting the final foot in the proverbial Celtics ass when it's coming to these others versus local. So I hear people like, well, what about Luka? Head case. I mean, he's pretty much destroyed Kristaps Porzingis. Let's just face it. It's just going to be tough for any of the others to make their way to Boston. I'm sorry, Justin, that was wrong. Saying that, Ben Simmons would be practicing in a red and black vest. No, don't make him shoot. Don't make him shoot. Get off your phone, Ben. I'm going to say this. I'll be very careful what I say regarding Ben Simmons, because we've seen several stories of high-profile athletes talk about their mental health when a crisis has hit. One of the things that I have suggested is stay off social media. Because if you're all over social media, then maybe that's what's affecting your mental and not your job. Say that again. Maybe what's happening on social media is affecting your mental and not your job.
Especially if you're playing Philly.
Well, but the thing is, you can even go, because if you're going to be a case study in something like that, you have to go through the history of someone. You have to look at all things. You can't say, well, we can't open that door when you know that it's the door next to this room we're talking about. Go back to Ben Simmons at LSU. Ben Simmons was supposed to be the center on that team. The word was him and the head coach were butting heads because he wanted to be all the point guard. He wanted to be point guard. He wanted to be Mr. Everything. And I remember saying, if this guy's supposed to be the number one draft pick coming out of college, why is his team disappearing before they even really get on television? Like, LSU never made it out of like one of those, when like 6 games are all going on at once. You're about to be the number one player in the NBA draft? That says something about your leadership and potentially where your head is at. For God's sakes, Gordon Hayward took a team to the to the NCAA finals. And Ben Simmons, Mr. Everything, already a max contract guy. Man, if that guy showed up at TD, it wouldn't be pretty. And no, you can't wear the red and black vest during the game. You need a note for that. Okay, coming up, we're going to play NBA crypto. Just the same way that you're constantly looking at your crypto on one of these sites, we're going to take a look at these NBA teams that still haven't made it to Christmas and see if their monies are starting to match up to get close to that magic number of $1. Crypto heads will love cryptocurrency next, but now it's time to trend.
For nearly 30 years, the home of the Boston sports fan. Now here's what's trending on WEEI.
Trending now on WEEI and WEEI.com. The Patriots will take on the Cleveland